right.
Give it just a couple of minutes for everybody just join in. Yeah, now I see people coming in.
Great, great. First people are attending. So Prasanna was so kind as to open the doors, guys. Welcome, welcome. So Prasanna, I would like to give you the opening words if you see not many more people joining.
Yeah, I think we should get started. So let me just kick this off. Hello and welcome everyone to this session on walkthrough of creating a great Power BI dashboard. And Eric Van Herk is a good friend. You probably know him through a lot of his MPUG series regarding Microsoft project best practices. And these days he has been writing a lot about the Power BI dashboards. So without much further ado, Eric, take it away.
Thank you, Prasanna. Yes, so welcome to the walkthrough creating a great project online Power BI dashboard. And this isn't even the longest title in the whole series of Project Virtual Conference. This is my second time around, and yeah, there's a Twitter handle on the left bottom side, and you already found the website because you're here, right? So let's start today with thanking our sponsors. And I'm happy to be one of the employees at Projectum. And my CEO is also going to present. So I'll leave the introduction to Projectum to him. But this event wouldn't be possible without all of these sponsors. And they're great companies, each one of them. And if you have time, just go ahead and go into the sponsors lobby and get in touch with these guys because they make excellent products, do great consulting, and are overall nice guys. I'll be in the session for Projectum right after this meeting, but let's kick it off with a bit more information about myself. I'm a senior PPM consultant at Projectum, just like I said already. I'm not sure what this information is. Chat, all right. I'll let Prasanna take the questions and let me know if there's any questions that need to have answered directly. But this is me. I have 9 years of experience with PPM and other Microsoft technologies. I have passion with building project and portfolio solutions as well as Power BI dashboards. I also like to educate people, so that's probably what Prasanna also was talking about, where I'm a blogger, and just recently I opened a YouTube channel, so I'm already a vlogger even. I've done nothing with my education, apart from having a lot of Microsoft certifications. I lost count at 15, and I'm a Bachelor of Commercial Economics. Basically, I should have been a marketeer, but I'm a consultant. On to the agenda. And for those who saw the previous session by Colin, this screenshot might look familiar because this is the content pack that Microsoft released last year. So the agenda, what we're going to do a walkthrough. Each and every one of these steps is reproducible right from the bat on your side of, well, wherever you are, basically. All you need to have is a ready-to-go project online environment. You need to have a license for Power BI, and you need to have permissions to navigate the reporting side of Project Online. So what we're going to do is we're going to download the content pack. We're going to change the data. We're going to change the color theme, because this might look cool, but if you have a different company logo or house style of coloring, that's something to look into. Then we're going to download some custom visuals and update the data using those custom visuals. We're going to upload the report to Power BI service, so going online. We're going to edit the refresh rate and do some more things there. And then finally, we're going to create a mobile dashboard, because nowadays we want to have our data in every way possible. So that means using an iPhone, using an Android phone, a Windows phone. As long as it's a smartphone and it has a internet connection, you're good to go. So this is very hands-on. So I have just a few slides, and this is the first one. So what we're going to do is we're going to download the content pack. The content pack was introduced, presented at the Ignite sessions in 2017. And it basically is a great start for navigating your reporting purposes for Project Online. And the best way to get it is to go to a GitHub location. And just as a side note, Microsoft is acquiring GitHub. So yes, I'm very excited to see how that turns out. So clicking on this link will navigate me to a different page. And this GitHub location is open for everyone. And the last time the content pack was changed was 5 months ago, so it's quite recent. And what we're going to do is we're going to clone or download. Well, I'm going to download, and I'm going to save it in a specific location that I already have available here. So content pack VPC 2018, because I already have the other one here live. So, and that's being downloaded. It's very quick. And there's another set of files here. So let's open this up and let's select Uitpakken, which is Dutch. You don't need to know. So here is the content pack. That is step 1 of the slides. Oh. Next step, what are we going to do? We're going to change the data, because the data currently only looks at out-of-the-box fields within Project Online. We'll change that and include some project and resource custom fields. But first, let's have a look at what the content pack has and see what we already got there. I'm going to use a demo environment, which is called Suprema. And this demo environment contains a lot of data. It contains roughly 90 projects. It contains 40 to 50 resources. It has a few enterprise project types. It has an ID box. It has resources. It has already the content pack, of course. It has snapshotting functionality, as well as artificial intelligence, of course. As soon as this receives help, it will tell us what it can do. So it can create a new project, create a new resource, request a resource on a project, update a KPI, all that stuff. Very nice. But for now, we are interested in knowing what is in the project center. So there's a lot of projects here. And there's even schedules in here. So let's go to Gantt chart. And let's scroll to a specific project. So there's information in this Project Online environment. Now what you need to do is you need to copy the root site of that Project Online environment. And then you just open up Microsoft Project Online Power BI Content Pack. And this is a template file, so it's called a PBIT file instead of a PBIX file. Basically the difference between a template and a regular Power BI file. So right from the start, it asks me to connect to a PWA site URL. And if you provisioned this in a different language, you might want to change that to, for instance, French, German, Portuguese, or, well, 2 Portuguese possibilities, it seems, and Spanish. But this is an English environment, and if I click on load, you will see that the information is being gathered. It contains resource, time-phased information, resource information, time set, projects, all good stuff. Issues, risks, project baselines. I'll give it some time to refresh the information. And as soon as that's done, we will start seeing pages load here. The different things that are in the system, there are different pages, different reports that you can surface. This might take more or less time compared to the size of the PWA environment and your internet connection, obviously. This shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. It shouldn't. And there we go. So it's loading a lot of information now, and we will start seeing fields on the right side. We'll start seeing the different information fields popping up here as well. So let's give it just a little more time. All right, so there are 95 projects in here with a total cost of 10 million. And you have different projects by different project types. So we have agile projects, we have traditional projects, such as these. And just like anything in Power BI, it's very fluent in loading different data compared to the visuals that you select and the filter that you select in it. So you have the timeline, which is a nice Gantt visual. It has resource assignments, as well as regular resource information, such as a resource overview here. But right from the start, you'll see that resources by group only contains a blank value. Well, that's because it looks at the out-of-the-box resource file, field, but we're not using that in this environment. So rather than having that group field, I would like it to look at competency. Let's head over back and let's change the data. So when we click on Edit Queries, the query editor page shows up and will load information from the resource demand and time phase dataset first. But we'll head over to projects, because there's information in projects that we want to have, because that's custom fields that are available there. As well as, in a moment, we'll have resource information that we want to change. So first thing, there's a number of steps applied to this data source. And what we want to do is we want to go to remove other columns. If we click on the gear next to it, a new screen will pop up. A new screen will pop up, which tells us which fields are in the data source currently. So project ID, enterprise project type name, that's these two. And if we head all the way down, custom fields will show up. So for instance, customer, country, city, Suprema team, well, quality may be something I would like to see. Anything basically with status is interesting for us. So overall project status, product status, maybe something resource related. So I have KPIs in here as well. So I might want to have those here. So I have a cost KPI, a schedule, and quality KPI. If I click on OK, and I navigate to the last query step, I will be able to see the new information coming in here as well. So cost KPI is green for this project, it's red for this one, amber for this one. This data is now available for my report to use. we'll look into that in more detail in a moment. Another thing that we want to change is resource custom fields. So again, we navigate to the query that says resources. And we'll go to the remove other columns section. Double click on the gear. And here it's pretty easy to find the custom fields that we want because there are not that many. So competency is something that I want to see, and maybe category resource as well. Well, we're basically going to go for a competency here. But that being said, these fields are now available for me to use. So if I click on close and apply, the data source is being refreshed. It tells me that there are changes that are being applied. And if there's new data connections, it will also automatically find those and change them for you. With that, we have a few new data sources here, a few new fields that we can select. One of them was country, right? So if I select country here, I will now have the option to select and use this in reports. So rather than having department in here, which doesn't have any data, I might want to have this field being replaced by the country field. So now I can change my data and see how many projects we have running in Australia, for instance. Well, that's nice. And these projects are all traditional projects and all in the pipeline, first workflow phase, right? And we can go to Belgium, for instance, or France, or Italy, or Sweden, or Denmark, or the Netherlands, of course, which are the best countries. Other information that is available here is project type, which is basically enterprise project type, project owner, governance phase, information that might be interesting for your project. Now we also have the resource availability, and we wanted to change things there, where we're not going to look at department, but we're looking at competency. Competency is just one of those fields that we added in the data source, and we can drag and drop it here, and now we can have a look at the overall competency of our production workers. As soon as that changes, you'll see the overall capacity and the group. Oh, this is group again, so we might want to change that to competency. So there we go. Changing it to production worker and the capacity that it has there. And if we open this up, you will see different colors here representing the different competencies of the whole product line. So if we select tester here, it will change all the other values here. Capacity, everyone has capacity, so we'll change this one as well. Competency. Very nice. So now we see the competency, which is called solution lead in the month February, and no one has over allocation. Well, that's good because that was history. Now, other than changing the data source, there's another thing that you might want to change, and that's creating a bit more visual representation of your company. So for now, it is the company project virtual conference. And what I would like to do is I would like to create a front page. What I did is I created a new page by just selecting the plus sign here. And I'm going to call this front page. Front page. And this is going to be a blank page, but I'm going to add a background. And the way that you're going to add a background is pretty easy. When we go to our presentation, this is what we want to show them. So it's a project and portfolio dashboard, and we're going to have a line dropping down telling you to select a report. Now, how that's going to look is that that arrow is going to point down to any of these report pages, and it's going to be very user-friendly. So how do we create this page? We navigate to PowerPoint, and from PowerPoint, I'm not going to do any spoilers. I did a spoiler. No worries. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a screenshot of this. So I'll select this information here, and I'll drag and drop, and just like that, I have my picture. Now, because I already have that picture somewhere here, I'm not going to save that one, but here is that picture. It's called front screen, and it's a PNG file. So let's navigate back to our Power BI, and navigate to this roller, or I basically don't know what it's called in English, but it's a roller for me. I'm going to add a image, and I'm going to navigate to the Project Virtual Conference library, where I have my front screen PNG file. Right from the start, you see that it's a bit hazy, and you would like to have it to fit the screen. And right now, you have a beautiful front screen with some basic information on what kind of a project it is. You could even have different sections hidden here and just focus on costs and change the title here. Just open up PowerPoint again, change the title there, take another screenshot, and paste it here. So let me just save the file before it gets lost. PVC 2018 life. Oh, still have my caps lock here. So life. So with that, the file is saved, and we're ready for our next part within the session. Let's see. So that's the part about changing the data source. Changing the data source so that you have your custom fields included in the content pack. Now, next step is a bit more complex, and we're even going to use some code where we're going to change the color scheme of our reports. And what I did is I grabbed the colors from the Project Virtual Conference, which is basically that light green. There's also some dark green, blue, red, and that nice little gray area. And what we need to do is we need to get the hex values of the theme, because it doesn't work with RGB. So what we do is we're going to navigate to this page, and we're going to input some of these values, because I already have all the other values. I'm not going to do them all, but let's have a look at bit.ly PVC 18 colors. So this is a very poisonous screen, but basically it does what it needs to do. Is if you type in the RGB values here, it will pop up with the hex values here. So let's just grab some of those values. So light green has an RGB value of this. And there you go. The whole page changes in the color scheme that represents that color. So you have an easy check. And this is the value that you want to copy and paste into the code that you have. So let's do this for another one of those colors. So for instance, let's select the blue value. And what I found out just today was if you select it by accident on the hex value, it actually updates it underneath. So there's really no downside on this page. It doesn't have any cookies or anything. It just works. So copy this value, paste it in a notepad for reference, and let's get to coding. So what you need to do is you need to create a JSON file, which is a very small code, and you need to put this somewhere on your machine. I'm going to use it and put it on the Power BI folder that I already use for the Project Virtual Conference. But basically, the thing that you need to know is that you have to have the correct symbols, because these symbols might change on your keyboard. And you need to have the hex values. And then you just copy and paste these values to these different sections. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to copy and paste. Going to copy. And I'm going to use the Notepad++ file, well, thing that works best for me. You can do this in any Notepad tool that you like. I'm going to save this one, and I'm going to save it as PVC 2018 number 2 because I already have one. And I'm going to save this as a JSON file. So let's find that JSON. Here we go. So this is the one that I saved just to be sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to our project, to our report basically. And we're going to have a close look at the projects by government phase and projects by type, because this is going to change. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Home, Themes, Switch Theme, and then we're going to import a theme. Now I can choose either one of these. So I'm going to choose the one that we did live. And just like that, it changed the values, the color scheme, and it says import theme is completed successfully. So that is very nice. Some of the things that you might want to take a look at is that background colors don't get updated. So you might need to change that by yourself, navigating to the color scheme of the background to get that all incorporated with your theme. But any new visuals, any visuals that have line charts or bar charts or pie charts or anything like that will automatically change based on the new values that we have here. So very nice, all the color schemes of the Project Virtual Conference. So now we can be very proud and have our own colors. One other thing that you might want to do is change the title here and maybe import an image of your company. So let's open up, and let's open up the Project Virtual Conference 2018 logo. And it just pops up here. And instead of portfolio dashboard, I'm going to remove this one, and I'm going to have this one here. So you can enter any image value, and it will just pop up here. And now this is part of your wonderful report. Very, very brand aware, and that's something that we are all very keen on nowadays, right? Everything works just as it should work. So let's head over to the next section in the presentation. And I'm going to Shift F5. So the little piece of code, this piece of code is readily available from Power BI, and I'm also going to give you this as a text file if you want it. Just reach out to me. I'll have my contact details in the end slide. So now we have our own data. We have it nicely visual with our own colors. Now let's get some custom visuals here. Downloading a custom visual can be done in two ways. It can be done straight from within the report, or you can download it at the store and have it as a file that you can share with others. So downloading from the store and importing, we're just going to do that, and we're going to do the other one as well. So this is the app source, Microsoft Store, and you will have a search option and all kinds of visuals here. One of the visuals that I'm very keen on is another Gantt visual. If I click on Gantt, this is the one that was presented by Colin just now in the previous session, and I'm going to use the Gantt chart by MAQ software. I'm going to click on Get It Now. I'm going to accept the terms and conditions. It will take me to a new page where it says Download for Power BI. And I'm going to save this one. I'm going to save it in a different text because I already have the backup. Again, visual. And now I have it available as a file, and it is here. This file is now available, and you can share this using whatever sharing tool that you use, such as Outlook or Twitter, or just what you would use normally for sharing. And this file is open, can be opened in our project, on our Power BI. So how to do that is we're going to click Import a Custom Visual, which is the ellipsis here. Import from File. And we're going to import the Gantt visual, the one that we just downloaded. And just to be on the safe side, we're also going to download the Enlighten Aquarium, the one that Colin presented in the previous session. Nice fishy. Going to be very interested to see how that looks. And we're going to import one straight from the report itself. So not having a separate file anywhere, just going directly to the marketplace. And in this marketplace, we're going to do a funnel visual. And we're going to use the funnel with source by MAQ. These guys really do create a lot of visuals. That is very appealing. So import custom visual, we're done. And what we're going to do is we're going to update this visual, where currently it shows you projects by governance phase, but it doesn't show you how many projects are in there and from what source do they come. So it doesn't show you which EPT or enterprise project type is the source. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this section, this visual, and we're going to use the funnel. Straight up, it will not show you any useful information, but that's because there's no subcategories here. So we're going to click on the phase name, and we're going to have it in subcategory, and subcategories are these on the top. And the primary category is going to be the enterprise project name subcategory. And right from this visual, you'll see that most of the projects are in pipeline, and there are two workflows in this system. So you have one for agile, and you have one for traditional projects. And then there's a few other visuals here. So this is one of the visuals that I really like, and it gives you a nice account of how many projects are in the design phase rather than the pipeline. And if you want to get this a bit more detailed, you can select the count of project ID, remove that with a space, and it removes that ugly field here. And you can even add a secondary measure, project ID, and we'll grab that project ID again and set that as secondary measure. But rather than having the actual value here, we're going to show it as percentage of complete of the total. So now we know that roughly 50% is in pipeline compared to 5 just being in development. So these are the phases, such as here, it stays here, but stages even gives me more detail. So I'm going to use the stages. And this looks a bit more interesting where it is customer, demo, development, upsell, all this information. Readily available through our new visual. Now another visual that we had was the new Gantt value. So going to portfolio, timeline. We'll navigate to the out-of-the-box Gantt, and we'll change that with Gantt by NAQ. It will mess things up a bit because it doesn't know which fields should be put where. So let's clean this up where it will have percentage complete as a KPI value. It will have a project name here. It will have a project start at the start. And it will have a finish date, project finish date here at the end. This is variance. This is the one that I wanted to have. And now this visual is very heavy and it might take some time for the visual to actually get here. So let's have a look at the fishies. And this is something that I just cooked up when watching the session by Colin. So please excuse if it doesn't look as good as it should. So I have a whole page with fish and fish size. So let's have project name as the fish. Project name. There we go, nice aquarium already. And let's have the duration, calendar duration as the fish size. Wow. I told you guys that this was an already big environment, right? Calendar days, so this is, what's the biggest fish? Hold on, development, obviously. So that's nice. So this is getting custom visuals into your report, and you can add and you can delete custom visuals, and there are already some custom visuals used out of the box by the environment, where on the cost KPI, for instance, this visual is actually a custom visual, which is called the chiclet slicer, and it's very cool, where you can have the values popping up with a nice graphical indicator here, showing at the projects that are out of baseline cost for 20% or 10% to 20%, or who don't have a baseline, for instance. So that's for the custom visuals. I think I have a bit more time, so let's head over to uploading the report. It has some advantages, such as Cortana search and all that stuff. We're going to refresh that data, and it's going to be mainly on refresh rate and Q&A. So speeding this up just a bit, I'm going to navigate to publish to Power BI. Do you want to save your changes? Obviously, I do, because otherwise we didn't have the fishes. And I'm going to upload that to my workspace, which is personal file location. And it's going to upload that to powerbi.com. And you can navigate to powerbi.com using the link powerbi.com obviously, and then you would sign in. And within a few moments, that will open up correctly. Let's have a look. Refresh the page. And here we go, Project Virtual Conference with our nice visual on selecting a project or a report. And now it also has the visual on your logo, as well as the custom visuals, which are also available on the online site. Let's just have a brief look at our fishes, see if those, even those pop up. Very nice, very relaxing. So what we need to do on the online side of life is we need to go into the data set. And with the data set, that is where the information is stored, the actual information. The report, which is what we just shown you. And if we go to the ellipsis with the settings, here it will tell you that you can open the data source, edit credentials if you have a Surface account, which is needed for the GDPR nowadays. You can change the parameters, having a different environment, if you have a test environment and a production environment, for instance. And Q&A, you want to have Cortana being able to listen in and answering your questions. So right from there, let's head over to the next part in my presentation. Creating a mobile dashboard. Data refreshed in a timely manner, always available from anywhere. Let's create a mobile dashboard that you can take with you. So just as a side note, the data source, having it refreshed periodically, is done by going to the settings and navigating to the scheduled refresh, having it on daily or weekly, and adding some time frame where it should refresh every morning, and clicking on apply. You will get a notification by email, and if you don't want that, just deselect that and click on apply again, and you're good to go. Now from my workspace, you'll have the PVC live environment. And here you can select visuals that you would like to have in a dashboard, any dashboard really. You just click on the pin visual and you can create a new dashboard, and I'll call this one PVC 2018 mobile. And I'll add this one, and I need to keep the current theme because that has the nice colors that we already have in there. So mobile, we want that visual. We might want to have some cost information as well, where we can add this visual and navigate it to mobile. And maybe we want to have a closer look at the 20% off. And you're pretty much being spammed about your data set being ready, but you can ignore it for just now. Let's have a cost metric here as well as the actual count of projects in there, totaling, pin. With that, I navigate to my workspace, and I'll click on the wrong one. I'll click on this data source, and here you have your web view. But you can also change that quite easily by clicking on the phone view. And if you get a warning, yeah, you can have this customized views for all phones. So iPhone 1, 2, 3, and Windows Phone. And from now on, if you navigate to this location using the Power BI app, you'll get this nice visual. And I don't think this is very important, but this one is. And you will be able to open this up, have your logo on top, as well as the most important visuals here. So rushing through the whole session. I hope you had a wonderful time together with me. And let me just look into the time. I have 10 more minutes. These are different sessions that you might want to look into. After my session, it's all related to Power BI, apart from the one by Peter Castanos, which is my CEO. So you might want to look into this one. And we can have a session without GDPR, right? So Brian Smith. And this is me. Questions? I do understand that I have limited time to answer the questions here, but I'll be in the lobby for a number of moments after this. Prasanna, are there questions?
Yes. All right. So thank you, Eric, for the awesome presentation. So there is a question in the chat. I'm going to just read out for you. There's an attendee that says, I have been using this dashboard template, but my PWA site has lots of customized pages that are not being included in the data set. How can I get this to pull in all the data from my PWA?
Okay. So for instance, if we are back in our Power BI environment, currently it grabs only data from PWA itself, but other information can also be gathered. So for instance, and I'm just curious about what kind of data that is, but I'm assuming that that's, for instance, a SharePoint list or for instance. What you do is you grab get data and you can add it from an Excel, or let's navigate to more and let's navigate to SharePoint Online. Oh, what happened? Okay, SharePoint Online lists. What you need to do is you need to be able to navigate to the home screen of your PWA and select any of the lists that are available there. You might need to have your Microsoft account ready, so let me just briefly do that. And the person that asked the question maybe would be able to give some more background information on what kind of data that is.
Okay. All right. So maybe they could contact you offline to get more, get into more discussion.
Sure, sure. I will be in the lobby of Projectum right after this session, so no worries there. But as you can see, we have the project idea box, for instance, is one of those things that aren't in the data set that you currently have, but it is information that is available. So with information here, as well as issues and an Excel file, and there's a whole lot of data that is readily accessible. The only thing that you need is an account, access, and an idea of what kind of data that is. So is it a folder with information in there? Is it a SharePoint folder? Is it a SharePoint list? Is it SQL data? Is it Jira, for instance? Anything you basically want.
All right. So Jesse wants to see the link for the TPC Power BI for things link. Can you
okay.
say that one more time?
Yes, I will. This is caps lock sensitive, and there's an underscore here as well. And let me just open that up for you as well.
Well, you're bringing it up. There are a couple more questions, and we might not be able to answer every single question, but they can definitely. Just a reminder for all attendees for this session. Like Eric mentioned, there is a sponsor virtual booth for Projectum. So if you go to that booth from sponsor lobby, you should be able to talk to Eric in much more detail.
Exactly. I'll at least be there for another hour.
Yeah. Can you easily retrieve data from custom lists from the project site?
Yes, that is the demonstration that I just did, where the lists, when they are in the root side, it's very easy. And if there are in project sites, so every project has a project site, if you provision it, that needs some more tweaking with a custom invoke function, but you can retrieve any of the Microsoft data, basically, because Microsoft is the owner of Power BI as well as Project Online, and they do want these worlds to come together very closely. So if you have a list on the TWA site, you will be able to retrieve that using Power BI.
Awesome. I think those are the questions. So again, reminder, there is a session feedback link on the event lobby. So please click that and provide some session feedback so that we can work on improving things that did not work so well, but also do more of what really worked well.
Yes, and just to add a final note, if you are on Twitter, let's hook up, and please let me know how the session went there as well.
Awesome.
And I will share the presentation, obviously.
All right. So thanks, everyone. We are on to the next session in a few minutes. So thank you, Eric, for an awesome visualization. I learned a couple of things myself.
Thank you very much, and hope to be here next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.